Hey guys, YouTubers. I just watched, a movie called American Dreams in China. And yes, I have been giving, plenty of thoughts about the movie, and and I tend to correspond um, my current life and my current doings with what I watch, with what I read. Well, but on most occasions, yes, I tend to correspond what my life, my doings with what I watch. Especially with my laptop computer, since I don't watch TV. Um, you know, I I don't watch TV pretty much since you know since since the day when I got my own laptop, and I then starting from that day, I I began to watch TV less and less, and from hardly ever to never never. Yeah, that was my thoughts. In fact, I've also been considering the the true values, the true meaning of going or becoming MGTOW, becoming a MGTOW, and becoming MGTOWs for as men. I am making the statement here. I'm trying to make a statement here that's representative of the entire population of young men who are not married, and who currently harbor much resentments against the current system that favors women's rights rather than men's rights. But here, first of all, there's one thing that I want you guys to know. Especially younger men. Maybe in case you happen to be older than I am. I'm currently in my late 20s, and but I don't consider myself that experienced with women, with life. Since I still tend to find myself in a highly awkward position where I have to keep constantly learning and learning, despite the fact that I'm no longer a student at uni or at a school or a college. But I'm not trying to asking you to forfeit your life as a MGTOW, but instead you should at least keep it a low profile. Well, you can certainly you can certainly say your opinions as a MGTOW aloud online, but I'm not actually telling you guys to to do something in opposition to the current regime. Because we have to, and more importantly, we currently do not have the resources and the sense and the strength of a whole flawless unity to go against the current system. So what we can do, for the time being, the most optimal plan of action we can and we should execute for the time being is to stay a low profile as much as we can, and in the meantime try to become as successful as we can. Try to be as both financially independent and emotionally independent as we can. And as you guys can see, I'm not that type of person yet. I haven't become a fully independent person in terms of psychological or mental or emotional independence, since I've just lost my old man less than a year ago. And for such a long time I had been so dependent on his support, even some parts of the duties of of a mother he also performed. He provided me with plenty of emotional support, and even counseling. He even found me a psychologist while I was expressing my grievances to him, while I was like maybe 16 or nearly 17, when I was kind of experiencing some loneliness after some of my best friends at high school left for some other places, like the States. They just went to the States, and they either went to the States to continue with their education, or they just chose to leave the current my high school while I was there, and they chose to leave that school and go to another, and I was experiencing some loneliness, some issues with coping that loneliness, and a sense of emptiness, as well. And my old man found me a psychologist, almost not like immediately after, but shortly after he found, he noticed my expressions of grievances. He found me psychologist, and he also even did a lot of work that were supposed to be done by my biological mother instead. But I'm not. But expressing grievances against my biological mother isn't the main topic I intended for this video. Sorry, got more sidetracked, but I hope I beg your pardon. Yeah, but yes. So MGTOW or not, we all have to work hard. We all have to study hard. We all have to learn hard, and pay special attention to the differences between studying and learning. Sometimes we learn to study. Sometimes we study to learn. They can, these two actions, these two types of actions can occur concurrently, simultaneously, or they can also occur independently of one another. But they are utterly well, sometimes I know, especially for those whose first languages is not English. They tend to, they tend to use, they tend to use to study and to learn interchangeably. Yes, even for some Americans, even for some some folks who whose first language is in English. Even for them, they sometimes tend to use study and learn interchangeably. But in fact, they're in some contexts they carry and they convey totally different meanings. When you learn, you are trying to gain some skill, rather than some knowledge. But when you study, you are trying to you are trying to memorize some details, some information, and you apply them to certain contexts that necessitate your advancements. When it comes to, yes, this can be especially true when you try to pass an exam or try to pass several exams in over a period of several weeks. For instance, for my A-level exams, as far as I can remember, it took me like something like three weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, to completely finalize, because all of those subjects, they have to, the exams of various subjects, they have to take place at on different days at different times, and for different candidates, generally speaking. So yeah, MGTOW Jews, like me, MGTOW or non-MGTOWs, we all have to learn. We all have to. We must all continue learning, continue seeking ways to flourish, to thrive in this ever-changing world, in this cruel world. And no matter how much help we can get from, this can be exceptionally, particularly true. No matter how much help we get, particularly from other females, from your grandma, from your aunts, even from your mothers, they're, well, I'm not telling you to disrespect them, but instead, you can't count on them when you have to make certain decisions that will have lifetime impact on you guys, on ourselves, such as which job to apply to, which job which offer we should choose, which path to go for, which country to visit. In fact, I have plenty of plans of making some compromises, as to the situation I'm currently in, as to addressing the various issues and problems I'm currently suffering from. Just for your information, I have been considering I've also been considering whether I should, choose to find myself a full-time job here in China instead of outside China. Since I watched, the film American Dreams in China, perhaps I should make a compromise as to trying not to get indoctrinated by the Chinese mindset. Despite the years I spent in the Western world, despite the ideologies, the mindsets I managed to develop for this period of for that period of time while I was abroad, while I was not in China. I certainly don't want to forfeit, the mindset, the Australian mindset. Everyone characterized by quote unquote, everyone deserves a fair go. Everyone should have the right, at least, to pursue their own happiness, to pursue, to actualize their dreams. Everyone deserves opportunities for them to become successful, to grow richer and more affluent and more influential, etc., etc. Perhaps it's time for me to come back to the reality, to accept the reality, but not like I totally succumb to the reality here. We all need to have dreams, or otherwise you may just get stranded at a job position you hate, and for the rest of your life you might just get stuck there for the rest of your life, if you don't have dreams to do bigger things, to go to different places, to visit different countries, to challenge yourselves, so we never get complacent with our current achievements, with our previous achievements, with our current situation. I have been trying to work on myself, so that I will never get complacent with my current socioeconomic position. At least I found myself needy of gathering more funds to enable myself to live like a normal human being in the Western world, instead of my current self, who is making a living, by doing business with Australia, with New Zealand, being a freelancer doing online work, including making YouTube videos, creating content for my Patreon page. I shouldn't get too complacent with what I'm doing, though I do believe I should begin seeking ways to get people, to get bunches of people with not like similar mindset to me, but who can at least partially agree with my own mindset, and work together on the same goals, and I hope one day that I can get those bunches of people unified to perform tasks that are bigger in magnitude, larger in scale, and more noble and more profound than what I'm currently doing here for a living, or even just what I'm currently doing here. It does not quite bring as much value as an average YouTuber who has managed to have got his or her channel monetized, in comparison to anyone who has got his or her channel monetized. I am nothing. I am completely and utterly no one, and next to nothing, even on YouTube. But I do hope that one day I could be set free from my fears of death, from my fears of committing suicide, from my fears of acting on those intrusive thoughts and becoming a criminal. Those shit, they never cease to bother me, and I like to quote a biblical verse. The first book of, sorry, not the first book, but the first epistle of Corinthians, the first epistle of Corinthians, chapter 7, verse 38. This one is the New King James Version, so it may differ from yours, in terms of the arrangement of words, the expression, but the meaning are the same. The meanings are the same. So then he who gives her in marriage does well, but he who does not give her in marriage does better. Yes, so in fact, this verse, this biblical verse, is effectively teaching us to get married if we can't contain our urges to fap, to bang female human individuals, I suppose, at least at the moment, based on the previous based on my previous experiences, based on the the past mistakes that I made, and my own misconceptions, yes, in fact, MGTOWs, at least, still partially going or becoming a MGTOW, at least partially aligns with God's commandments, with God's agenda, provided that we don't indulge in sexual immorality. That's the only occasion where MGTOWs, becoming MGTOWs, aligns with God's agenda. Without without posing enmity against God. Yes. So that's what I'm trying to say. Regarding how to attain success, regarding how I can break free from this state of misery. I have reached another conclusion. Which is, I have to at least let go of some fears. Well, though those fears, they will still can continue to haunt me, no matter how hard I try. I could never reach a state or a existence or a condition of perfection. Even while I was watching the film, Chinese dreams. American Dreams in China. While I was watching the film, in fact, it's my second time watching this film, and while I was watching the film, I can say that, myself, and maybe 75% or 85% of me was focusing on the film, on learning or salvaging something useful from the film, and still a small part of me was still bothered by intrusive thoughts and some other things that distract my that tend to distract me from fully dedicating my full strength on tasks, on my mission. Yes. And what else? So, and near the ending of such film, Huang Xiaoming, the main character, the protagonist, one of the protagonists of the film, his speech still amazed me, still made me marveled. It made me realize that English, isn't that simple. It isn't that simple. Though we can take simple steps to master it, but just because you can take simple steps to master a certain skill, it doesn't mean you can. It doesn't mean you should take such matter or such skill lightly. In other words, it also doesn't mean you should feel. In other words, it also doesn't mean you should feel complacent with what you with how well you can perform a certain task, because there will always be people who are more intelligent, more skilled than you are, than we are, you know. And yes, and more importantly, the point I'm trying to make in another crucial point I'm trying to make here for this video is this the film that I was just now watching, American Dreams in China, did manage to alleviate my symptoms of depression and intrusive thoughts quite considerably. It makes me want to continue with my life, to at least give more tries, more tries with, you know, to seek a truth between my westernized self and my innately Chinese self. Do you see my point here? You know, I have experienced all sorts of conflicts, and they are still bothering me right now, and that which resulted in my stuttering partially, you know, as you can notice right now. Though yes, I maybe you do happened to notice a pattern that I stutter less and less. You know, well, in contrast to the very first bunch of videos I made on YouTube, yeah. So maybe the best solution to cure or to heal depression is to never think of depression, to actually forget about the fact or the notion or the conception that you are depressed, powerless, helpless, you know. I know it's hard. It takes a tremendous deal, a great deal of effort and hard work to just try to get a single pinch, a small pinch taste of you know, how, you know, of what that feels like. Yes, but you know, as you can see, I'm still trying, and since, you know, I have to move out of this hotel, you know, back to the second camping site, so that I can do my laundry, I can get more cleaned, I can get, you know, more, at least physically speaking, more cleansed, you know, since yeah, it's been something like three weeks. Actually, more than 3 weeks since last time I do my laundry, and the backup. Well, I still got at least a whole set of garment, as you know, to, you know, for change. You know, I still get myself a whole set of clothing for change. But you know, since this hotel doesn't have a facility where I can do my laundry properly. I have to relocate myself, since on the other hand, such camping site has pretty much done with its renovation and repair work on their electrical equipment or things like that, But regardless, I believe I have talked enough. So, thank you again for watching and listening. I hope I have made my point clear. I have made my points clear. In fact, I got several main points to clarify in this video. Yeah, in case you hadn't noticed. But regardless, thank you again for watching and listening, and good night. I hope to see you guys again in the next video, in the next videos on YouTube. Bye bye. Cheers.